Thanks everybody for joining. Before we dive into the product, I just want to do a little bit of level setting, a little bit of parade education. How do we think about capacity management? What are some of the values and philosophies that will bring to your brokerage to help your team be successful? And understanding what capacity management does is really critical as there's a lot of different competing platforms out in the market. Hey, is this digital freight matching? Am I just focused on digital booking? So a good level set here, I think, goes a long way in driving really fruitful conversations. So the core pillars of capacity management really break down to three things. First is continuous matching. So not a transactional one-time match. Parade is reaching out or working with all your carriers. Once you're implemented with Parade, we're consuming all of these data points on your behalf. Most of the data which currently gets ignored, left by the wayside, put into trash and spam bins. Parade is consolidating and then driving deep profiles on all the carriers you work with, also helping you pull in out of network carriers for your team that could be valuable. So we're looking at all of these data signals, driving really robust profiles for your team. Also, at the same time, we're looking at all of your freight, all the loads that you've got to get covered historically, everything that's in your system right now. And our platform on your behalf is driving fantastic matches. We're always looking at who's the best carrier to move a given lane. And this is always updated 24 hours a day. It never sleeps. But just having a match is only part of the battle. The minute that match occurs, Parade technology is basically becoming your marketing, your advertising wing, your carrier relationship section for your reps, because it's already driving out offers to the best carriers through a host of different communication channels where your carriers like to work, making sure that those offers are out in front of them very quickly before trucks move, before carriers move on with their day. And then it's tied together with really the critical component here we call digital assist. And the digital assist piece is not just about driving digital booking, but it's also helping your reps consume a ton of digital quotes. So pulling back just a ton of capacity information about your platform, letting your carriers interact easily, making your reps more efficient, just cruising through more work every single day. And you can think of this like a recycle symbol, right? Each one of these steps informs the next, and as data flows through the system, it only gets more powerful. The matches get more accurate and get faster. From a real high level, I just wanted to hit on a couple of things that outcomes or success stories that we see with the platform. We're serving brokers anywhere from 200 loads a month up to 30,000 plus. In typical improvements we see inside of first year is increasing number of digital bookings well beyond 30%, driving core carrier reuse, helping you take those one and dones and turn them into really strong partnerships, increasing carrier density overall. And as you increase these improve these carrier relationships, carrier partnerships, helping them find the best freight for their trucks, you also will end up seeing margin expansion and margin growth. So as the slide I hit a little bit early alludes to, let's talk about that. Let's get into how does Parade enable your team, enable you as a broker rep to book more freight faster and ultimately help you pull in more shipments, generating more revenue for your team. So without any further ado, we can hop right into product. Where I wanted to kick us off today is kind of the landing page inside of Parade. It's the capacity workbench, where you as a rep would hop in. This is where you start your day. You're going to see all the loads that are available to you. You can slice and dice this list any way that's appropriate. The whole focus being, how do you get to work that needs to be covered quickly and efficiently. And when you're looking through the load list, the improvements, or where this starts really changing from a TMS, what you're going to be looking at is the minute you get into a load, click on the detail, we're pulling over load information directly from the source of truth, directly from whatever your TMS is. That's all available for you as a rep. You don't have to go back and look at other sources, other systems. But what's really critical to call out here is all of those data points that we were talking about before, all of the capacity signals. When we're ingesting those and driving matches, it all gets fed back to you or to your team in a stack ranked list. And that's what we see below this load detail right here, is we get a list of carriers that are shown to you in stack ranked order of who's most likely to have the capacity available. So you don't have to jump into an Excel spreadsheet to see, hey, is there a carrier I like out of Jefferson, Tennessee? Who did we use last time? Does a buddy a couple of desks over know a good carrier for this? Parade has pulled in all of that information and is on top of it is feeding directly who's most likely to work with this carrier. So you can be very strategic or very tactical and pointed in how you go after this work. So as a rep, when you're working through your day, there's really no guesswork to this. You can begin. You can see Rafa Trans saw a load that was posted out on one of the load boards. They've actually come back and quoted. You're able to see a little bit out of range from the starter max buy. So maybe it's worth getting on the phone, or you can counter quote directly from the platform here, or decline this piece and move directly on to the next match. I've got Tag Trans, onboarded carrier. They're in your network. You can see that they're posting trucks for on DAT. Again, another piece that we're taking out of that workflow and feeding it to you automatically when the match matters. So you're able to see Tag Trans is posting trucks, onboarded. It's a good group. A couple of things that you can drive here directly is if looking to pick up the phone, understand a little bit more about these posted trucks, maybe trying to grab a quote, you have the ability to grab the quote directly in the platform, right inside of this workflow. And while you got them on the phone, a big piece that reps struggle with is driving deeper carrier relationships, understanding where they like to work, how they like to work. Directly from this one load, you're able to click right into the carrier profile. Again, not having to go to another platform, not having to go to another screen, and we're able to call out things like Tag Transport. They've been onboarded, they're fully green, which means they're fully vetted, but they're not running a ton with you, right? You can see that they're not getting used often. Big driver behind that, missing lane preferences. We don't have posted trucks. So there's critical components of a carrier profile that need to be enriched, and we give your team access to adding all of this real quickly right inside of the UI while you've got them on the phone and you've already pulled in the rate for that original load. We can go ahead and set and add lane preferences directly in this profile. So let's say this team tells you that, hey, we like running Chicago to Houston. I can go ahead and grab that information directly inside of the platform. I can go drop my lane. Bear with me, my demo environment's a little slow today. So if you're on the phone with them, say it's the team that runs Chicago to Houston. That's really what they're looking to run. While you're dropping this piece in, Parade is already searching for loads that would match this lane. And what's really unique about that and adds power and speed for your team is that if a match is returned, you're able to book that directly from the screen, give you a hyperlink right out to the load, and then this lane preference stays. Nobody has to go back and adjust it. You don't have to tell someone else to reach out to Tag if they want to run Chicago to Houston. It's all available inside of the platform and becomes part of that matching. And a critical thing to think about here is that as that data is collected and is shared across the team, a big outcome is driving that carrier reuse, because everybody is focused on collecting data, putting it in a platform where it's visible for everyone to transact on. And it's also a big portion of how Parade starts driving communication to carriers on your behalf. And inside of each individual load, you're able to see as a rep, hey, where does this get posted? So we're removing the need from your teams to post to dat, go out and post one time to truck stop, and then check and update and manage as their day goes on. Parade is taking all of that off of your desk. So you no longer have to worry about, did I refresh my load to dat? Did I get a good response? We're able to show you how we're posting out to 16 different load boards on your behalf, and then just collecting a ton of data, everything from posted trucks to searches to quotes for your team, in order to make these make the matches or drive efficiency through each one of those loads. So what we've hit here is really heavy on a transactional, the transactional workflow from a rep. You would see loads come over directly from your TMS, able to find them quickly, being fed the right carriers. You can complete the workflow, get them covered, capture quotes, all in a single encapsulated spot. And it's really just about driving that efficiency. How do you help a rep? How do we help you cover more loads in a given day? And one of the ways that we're helping you in the background too is Parade starts automating the offer process. One of the out of the box ways that we go after this is leveraging outbound messages. So while matches are being created, right, and that's the thing we're going to hit on a ton today, Parade doesn't necessarily need you to come back and say, for a specific lane, I want you to send an email to a carrier and see if they want it. We're already making those matches on your behalf. And what we're looking at right now is kind of I'd say the back end of the platform, not necessarily where I would expect a team or a broker to live, but we can see examples of what Parade is sending out for you. And when we generate these emails, they are all logoed for you. It all is, it's got your brokerage name on it. It's got all the right contact information. But here's a big difference in the emails that we send out. Each email that goes out to a carrier is unique. It's personalized specifically for that carrier. It's not a load blast to say, hey, here's 100 loads, pick one that works for you. For example, I've got State Express pulled up. They're getting this email because they posted trucks on dat that Parade pulled in on your behalf. And then we're automatically sending them the best loads for them to transact on. So it's a great way to signal to your carriers that the relationship with them is important. You want to give them work. You want to be able to give them the work that feeds them best. And it's just one of the many ways that we reach out to the carriers, making it very easy for them to transact. All of the load boards, the 16 different load boards that we post to, automated emails on your behalf. We can dive in deeper into any of these communication processes on a live demonstration. I promise you, we are barely scratching the surface here in the workflow. So we've really hit two strong things at this point. Is what is the rep workflow look like? How do you as a rep come in, transact quickly, leveraging all of this data that Parade is able to put in front of you in context? We're seeing a couple of different ways that your carriers are able to interact easily, efficiently with the platform, being able to quote and book freight kind of hands-free, right? The team doesn't even need to drive that. But it's not always the case that you have, it's not always the case that you have the loads won. A big struggle right now is being able to find more and more revenue, get more loads. I want to increase share of wallet from my current customers. I need to find new customers where I can quote strongly. Need to be pulling in revenue as we see margins kind of decline year over year. And that's where our source tool provides a ton of power for your team. It's really the back end or the brain of all of the capacity work that Parade is doing. So you can drop in an OD pair I've got this Illinois outbound coming into Janesville, Wisconsin. It's brand new to you, or it's brand new to your team when that carrier or when the shipper is on the phone asking if you can cover it. It removes the guesswork of who do I have that's actually good. You don't have to go back to the TMS and see who ran this in the past. Historically run lanes is also not the strongest indicator of who's got capacity to cover this right now. So Parade will show you every carrier that's ever interacted with your network in regards to this lane. So you're able to respond to your shipper, to your customer, confidently about your ability to cover, and not just cover it. Trucks are literally falling from the sky these days. Like anybody can go out and grab a truck, but it's about getting good trucks, good carriers, getting good capacity on the lanes to be providing fantastic customer service for the shippers that you're trying to bring in. In worst case, let's say you're exhausting that full list, Parade also has the ability to go out and pull in public carriers. This is a carrier who has done nothing. They haven't posted a truck that's comes across your network. They haven't quoted. They haven't sent in an email. Parade has been pulling in FMCSA data for the better part of the last 5 years and just aggregating it, analyzing it, understanding where are carriers actually moving. So you can see real quickly on any of these out-of-network carriers, what we're really looking for is, do I have carrier sets who match equipment criteria and get inspections along the lane that I'm searching for? So you're able to go through any single carrier on this list. Will tell you, will tell you whether or not they're compliant with your onboarding tool. We'll give you the contact information, everything you need to know to reach out confidently to a carrier to see if that's ends up being something you want to set up. If that's a good carrier group to be working with. It really starts catapulting you well beyond the idea of, let's find somebody who's got a domicile within 50 miles of the origin. Maybe I'll do a check on carrier 411. You're loaded with really important, powerful information to help you get those relationships set off on the right foot. So even if you're not working through, loads that you've already won, as you have to start pulling in more capacity, start pulling in more shipments, we make it incredibly easy for your team. And we even take that a step further, is we're going to help your team figure out, how do I create the best pricing? So if I think I'm close to winning loads, how am I going to go after this? How am I going to go after this and provide quotes to my shipper that I know that you can cover confidently on the back end? So again, in a similar scenario, let's say you're working with a shipper. They're going to give you Chicago to Topeka. They want to get it covered on a flatbed. Again, current state right now is searching through a ton of reports, asking people. Maybe you're really strong in that spot and you've got some good institutional memory on how to go after these lanes. But Parade is looking at all of your capacity data, all of those data points that we've hit. We're looking at all of your load history. We pull in a ton of market factors, all to really get you to a point that says, this is the rate at which you're most effective to bid or quote your shipper customer, because this is the rate that you should be able to buy a truck on this lane on this given day. And then we also provide you with clear line of sight to the DAT market rate. So you're able to benchmark it. You're able to see what is the rest of the market able to do. And it's not always green, right? It's not always best case here. Sometimes it's red. It'll let you know that you don't have good capacity. You may be struggling with carrier relationships in this specific spot. So if you're going to quote on it, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to cover. And then additionally, your team is presented with information on why the number has been calculated in such a way, looking at factors of all-in rates from the origin or from the destination. What is the competition doing on this lane? What's the load to truck ratio from brokers that are similar to you? And then here's a big feature of this that really starts setting this apart. One, the way that we calculate your rate based off of your ability to procure on real-time capacity is a big differentiator for us. The second piece is the ability to record bids, and that's understanding how often do we bid, how often do we win, or how often do we lose. Parade's providing you a ton of reporting on the back end to show you everything from a customer level to a lane level down to the individual user on your team. How well do they quote? How often do we win? When we win, are we winning at the right right margin? And so you're able to see things transactionally to that standpoint, but also we can dive in, maybe from a broader look to say these are regions or these are lanes that you should be more aggressive. And you can see areas where you're going to have to do more work on developing carrier relationships. So if we think about what we just walked through in the last 20 minutes, it really puts us into a position to be talking about capacity management as a holistic feature set. It's focused on understanding your capacity, your unique carrier operations and relationships, understanding how well you buy to help you cover loads faster, help you increase your core carrier, drive carrier reuse. And on the flip side, if we know where all your carriers are, how they like to operate, if you've got all of that at your fingertips, you can then bid quickly and confidently with current customers and with new customers to start bringing in new revenue that you're able to cover really efficiently and quickly on the back end. It's removing all of that guesswork for your team.